Hello everyone, and welcome to this Yin Yoga class where we're going to reinforce the idea that we can do hard things. Because of the nature of Yin Yoga, it can be quite challenging. We're holding poses for a long period of time, and that can often become boring, and you can have voices in your head saying, "I can't do this, let's just give up." But on our yoga mat, we can practice ignoring that voice, and we can teach ourselves that we can do hard things. And the best thing about doing this, I find, is that you can usually take that practice off of your yoga mat, and in everyday life, you will learn that you can indeed do hard things. I've chosen some poses for this routine that are a little bit more on the challenging scale of Yin Yoga poses, ones that will require a little bit of endurance, a little bit of stamina, and lots of you reminding yourself that you can do hard things. Of course, you can use props to help you within these poses, and if at any time you feel as though your body is really signaling to you to stop the pose, please do. That is okay. And you can always work up to longer holds in these poses. But I'll be here to guide you through them as we go. You will need a strap. We'll be doing cow face arms in this routine, so any sort of belt or strap-like object will work just fine. If you're ready to begin, we're going to start with 5 minutes of dragon pose. So you can begin by bringing your right foot forward in between your hands, walking that back knee slightly back, maybe just to come a little bit deeper into this pose. Your back toes can be tucked, or you can have the top of your foot on the mat. Now, if you need to support yourself a little bit more, of course, you can have your hands on yoga blocks here. So just pausing here for a moment, seeing how the body is responding. Noticing all of those new sensations which are arising within your hips and your legs. Maybe your shoulders and arms are starting to come online here as well. You're welcome to stay here, but if you do want to go that little bit deeper into the pose, you can now walk your right hand, or your right foot rather, to the outside of your right hand. And then again, tapping in and seeing what new sensations this movement has brought to your body. And if you want to go even deeper again into this pose, you can bring your forearms down onto your yoga mat or onto yoga blocks. Only, of course, if your body is inviting you to go that bit deeper. And it's worth noting here, as we are doing a little bit more challenging yoga poses today, that in Yin Yoga, you should of course feel the pose, you should feel the stretch, and your muscles should be engaged as well. You're never just flopping into a Yin Yoga pose and being totally relaxed in it. By nature, Yin Yoga should be a little bit challenging, but you never want to feel as though you're forcing anything, as though you're pushing too hard. And if you feel any pain, then of course come out of the pose or come into a different variation of it that suits your body that little bit more. So with all that being said, let's drop into the pose. Feeling each sensation, observing each breath in and out, and reminding yourself that you can do hard things. We'll take 3 or 4 more big breaths here in Dragon. When you're ready, you can slide back into child's pose, taking your time. Come into whichever version of child's pose you prefer. And we'll rest here for 1 minute, feeling the rebound of dragon pose. Now you can prepare to repeat dragon on the opposite side. So this time stepping your left foot forward. Maybe walking that back knee back. And then pausing here to feel everything that there is to be felt on this side of the pose. You can stay here or take it that little bit deeper by bringing your left foot to the outside of your left hand. And once again, if your body is really inviting you to try hard things, you can come down onto your forearms. Personally, I feel the biggest challenge in dragon pose is to find stillness, our second principle of Yin Yoga. It's hard not to fidget and to keep adjusting. It's also challenging for the arms, personally. But if you're feeling the same, just remember that each breath in is bringing more strength to your body. And each breath out is releasing those old beliefs that no longer serve you. We'll be here for 2 more minutes. You can do hard things. Take 3 or 4 more breaths here. When you're ready to do so, you can slide back into child's pose. Rebounding here for the next minute. You can pick yourself back up now. First is coming to sit on your mat. We'll move into our next pose, which is cow face arms, and we'll do a shoelace with the legs as well. So make sure you have your strap nearby. If shoelace is not available to you, you can sit cross-legged on the mat, or you can sit in whatever way feels best for you. Our focus is more so going to be in the shoulders and arms, so don't worry too much if shoelace is not your thing. But if you can come into shoelace, we'll start by having the legs out long in front of us, and then bring the right foot to the outside of your left hip. You can stay like this in half shoelace, or you can come into the full extension of the pose by bending that bottom leg as well. And wherever you are, make sure you can feel both of your seat bones pressing down into the floor. Check that you're not sitting on your feet. And once you feel settled in shoelace, we'll incorporate cow face arms. So we'll start just by bringing or placing the strap over one of our shoulders. And then we'll reach the left arm out in front, push it away, and then bring it all the way back behind you until it won't go back anymore. Turn your thumb down, bend your elbow, and then come to hold your strap somewhere along your spine. Now, to challenge yourself that little bit more, you might walk your hand up slightly if your body is inviting you to do that. And then your right arm reaches up to the sky, bend the elbow and find the strap. Again, your top hand should be somewhere along your spine, and you might walk your hands a little bit closer to each other to challenge yourself that little bit more. And we'll be here for the next 4 minutes. Try to keep your spine as straight as you can. There'll be a tendency for that top elbow to fold forward, as mine is doing here. So try to keep it pointed up towards the ceiling. This is another challenging pose, but you're doing really good work for your shoulders. You're opening up your chest. And this is also a really good pose for your posture. It can help to straighten and strengthen your upper back. There will be a temptation here just to release the strap, to end the pose. And if you're in pain, of course, that is okay. But otherwise, remind yourself that you can do hard things. This is a temporary discomfort with a beginning and an end. A reminder here to straighten up your spine, Point that top elbow up again. You're doing really good work. Take 3 or 4 more breaths. Inhaling to feel your belly, chest and throat expand. Exhaling to empty the belly, chest, throat. You can release your grip from the strap now, bringing both arms back to the front. You might release the pose by interlocking your fingers and pressing your palms away from you. Round your back and allow your head to drop. If your legs are in shoelace, you can release them now. Or if you're just sitting on the mat, you might stretch your feet out in front of you and just take a few moments to do whatever you need to do. Now we'll repeat cow face on the opposite side. So if you're sitting cross-legged on the mat, you might just sit with the other foot in front now. If you're coming into shoelace, you can bring your your left foot to the outside of your right hip, and then maybe bend that right knee as well. And just taking a breath or two here to let the body adjust to the other side of shoelace. And then we'll reach our right arm out in front of us, press it away, bring it back until it won't go back anymore. Turn your thumb down, bend your elbow, and find your strap. Left arm reaches up, bend your elbow, and hold your strap. Maybe walking the hands a little bit closer together, trying to keep them both at the spine. We'll be here for the next 4 minutes. Spine is nice and tall. Top elbow is pointing up. Breathe each time into your belly. Feel it rise up into your chest and into your throat. Exhale to empty your belly, empty your chest, and empty your throat. We'll take 3 or 4 more big breaths in this pose. Now you can slowly release, removing your strap for now. We'll release the shoulders by interlocking the fingers, pressing the palms away, rounding your back and dropping your head. And then you can release your hands, undo your legs, and once again do whatever you need to do. You might just stretch and shake out your legs, or you might be craving some windshield wipers. The next pose that we'll practice is squat pose. So, as with the theme of this class, it can be one of the more challenging Yin Yoga poses. And if you feel that way in it, that's fine. You can always use some yoga blocks as a little seat to support yourself in this pose. If your heels are up off of the mat, that is very normal, don't worry. You can fold your yoga mat to create a little bit more of a bench, that's not the right word, to create something to bridge the distance between the floor and your heels. But otherwise, let's get into it and see how it feels, and then we can always adjust when we're in the pose. So we'll start by having our feet nice and wide apart. Your toes will point away from you. We want to try keep our toes and knees pointed in the same direction. Then you can bring your elbows into the inside of your knees, and then you might bring your palms together at the chest. We're going to stay here for 5 minutes if we are not in any pain or in any extreme discomfort. So take some time to fidget and wiggle around, and then try to find some stillness within the pose. Squat pose, of course, is a great pose to open up the hips. Really nice for your lower back, provides a nice back stretch. It's also a pose which can be very grounding, can help to relieve feelings of stress or anxiety. So just try your best to feel the pose. Feel how it feels in your body. Trying to figure out which part of your body is asking for your breath the loudest, and then keep sending it in there. You're doing really well. you can do hard things. You might be feeling more warmth in your body. And again, as long as that warmth is not pain, you can just think of it as burning away all those old beliefs that don't serve you. Burning away tension and anything else that you don't want to bring with you past this yoga practice. Breathe in to feed that fire with more oxygen. Breathe out to let the smoke out of your body. Taking 3 or 4 more breaths. In a moment, we'll release squat by coming straight up into dangling pose. But let's enjoy one more big breath here. You can do it. And now when you're ready, you might just let yourself come forward a little bit, hands to the mat or to the floor, and then slowly straighten up your legs. Big ah here if you need to get squat out of your body. Then we'll come into dangling pose by having the feet about mat width distance apart. Hands can hold opposite elbows. You can either rest your elbows onto your thighs or you can let them hang low past your knees. If your elbows are hanging, you're going to target your hamstrings a little bit more. And if your elbows are resting on your legs, you're going to strengthen your quads a little bit more. So you can figure out what works best for you. We'll be staying here for 5 minutes. So once you've found what works, find some stillness. Find your breath and tap into all of the sensations that you're feeling. Personally, I think this is the most challenging Yin Yoga pose. I always struggle, and maybe you've noticed on video, but I always struggle to stay still in this pose. But we can do hard things, and we can definitely complete a routine and finish a video without skipping anything. As you hold dangling pose, know that you're doing really good work for your body. You're lengthening your hamstrings, stretching your spine. You're also massaging all of your digestive organs. Dangling pose is another pose that can be very grounding. Brings the blood flow to your brain, which can help to relieve feelings of anxiety and stress. So even though this might feel uncomfortable, frustrating, just try your best to enjoy the time you have here in this pose. It's time to release the pose. Bringing your hands back to the ground and then eventually finding a seat on your mat. You might just take a moment in stillness here to feel the echo of those poses that we've just done, squat and dangling. Noticing any differences in the way your body is feeling. Feeling some new energy swirling around your body. And just feeling how good it feels to have achieved those things that were hard to do. To remind yourself that you can indeed do hard things. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, you can take this positive learning experience and apply it to other things in your life. Anything that's making you nervous or worried, or maybe something you're putting off because you just don't want to do it. Just remember that you can do hard things. We're going to spend the last few minutes of this practice in the most challenging yoga pose, which is corpse pose. So you can come on down to lie on the back of your body. You might be more comfortable with your knees resting against each other, or you can bring your legs long onto the mat. Allow yourself to take up lots of space. This is where your body really absorbs all the benefits of the poses that you've done. And the messaging of this routine can really sink in if you just take the time to soak it all up now. We'll spend 5 minutes here in corpse. Physically very easy, mentally a little bit more challenging to keep your awareness here with your body. Find something to become interested in within yourself. Bring some awareness to your feet. Feel your feet getting heavier and heavier. Feel them melting into the earth. Feel your knees getting heavy now. And just notice as they start to melt into the earth. Your hips are getting heavy. Melting into the earth beneath you. Your entire shoulder girdle is heavy. Unwinding, melting into the earth. Your hands are heavy. They're starting to melt into the earth. Your head is heavy. Melting deeper and deeper into the ground. Your entire body is heavy, relaxed, and it's all melting into the ground. Corpse pose is a chance to let something die. So as you practice corpse, just know that any limiting beliefs are dying now. I'll leave you here for a few more minutes and then I'll let you know when it's time to come back. And when you do get up from your mat, a new version of yourself will be born. start to bring a little bit of awareness back, moving your body in small ways. When you're ready, you can bring yourself back up into a seat. When you're there, you might close your eyes or relax your gaze. Find your breath. Really honor and thank yourself for coming to do this yoga practice. Thank your body for being able to do some of those challenging poses. When you're ready, you can open up your eyes again. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel as well. I would love to practice with you again in the future, and subscribing does really help to support me in making these videos. So I'll see you again soon on the mat, but until then, take good care of yourself and goodbye.